My name's Susan Zodi, and I'm the founder and director of our Narragansett Horse Ranch. I remember the first time going there, and it was like, oh, we don't do things like that. Really, it was like, okay, I'm not going to get anywhere. And Kim Abney was there. She kind of encouraged me a little bit. And when she heard the story, and then I got to meet Greg Aaron, and, we applied, and we did get a couple small grants. And then the more they heard about us, it was like they started believing in what we could do. It really was, that in itself was awesome, that experience, to see that. And even the really large grant that we got that helped us pay for this arena, I remember Greg saying, you know what, I have never seen that happen. Because it was $100,000 match that the original philanthropist came back and gave us another $100,000 match to build this arena. He looked at me like, we thought it would be at least 5 or 10 years before we could build this. And one day we had kind of like it was like a grand reopening, just so people could see the inside of the house, see what we're doing, kind of a marketing thing. And I'll never forget, he came up to me, the philanthropist came up to me, and he said, so what's the problem, Susan? We just had this great day, this opening, all these people came. I'm like, what do you mean, what's the problem? He said, well, why haven't you started on that indoor arena yet?
Thanks.
I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth, seriously. And he's like, is it financial? I said, isn't it all? And he looked at me and he said, you don't have a problem. If I didn't even question it, I would just and he didn't pay for everything, because that's not the kind of person he is. He wants to see that we're working and we're doing our part too. But you know what? I'm one of these people, I pay my credit card every month. I don't like debt over my head, but he gave me that assurance that he had our back. And the rest is history. We hear it sometimes from the kids. We hear it from parents and grandparents that say, my kid just feels loved out here. They just don't accept it. And they do. And I think some of that is because the people that are here, the volunteers, they want to be here because they really do care. As a matter of fact, back when we were even in the other facility, I'll never forget this. I was sitting at a table in the admissions area, and this mom or grandma she was sitting across from me, and the kids were out with the facilitators of the class, and she had me straighten eyes, and she leaned forward and on her elbows on the table, and she said, you people are different. And I was like, I said, okay, well, what do you mean by that? And she said, you guys really care about these kids. And I was like, yeah, we really do.
I'm Heather Lawson, and I am program director for Narrowgate. We have 2 different parts of our program. The first part is equine assisted learning, and the second part is horsemanship. And so equine assisted learning, the kids have to go through 12 weeks of equine assisted learning. We call that EAL before they graduate to horsemanship. Equine assisted learning, they're not really here to learn as much about the horses as they are to learn about themselves. And these horses have an amazing ability to teach these kids so many life lessons. And that is our goal. They come and they connect with the horses and they learn from the horses. And we try to connect what they're learning with the horses to what is going on in their everyday life. And so they come here and they learn leadership skills, communication, assertiveness. They learn how to have a voice. They learn how to stand up for themselves, because in order to lead and interact with a 1,000-pound animal, you have to feel, there's something inside of a kid that has to change to be able to do that. And so many of these kids, they just are so filled with shame that, they're fearing their whole lives. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're not loved. And they come and they find out that they get unconditional love from these horses, and when a 1,000-pound animal horse decides to follow you around the arena and you're not even hooked up to that horse, but that horse is choosing to be with you, that is huge for these kids. It's, oh my goodness, so it gives them confidence. It helps them believe in themselves. We teach them coping skills because we know they have to go back into environments that are not always safe or emotionally safe. They have to go back into different situations at school and in their whole life and their neighborhood life that is difficult for them. And they struggle with anxiety and depression, but knowing how to cope and anger and all of those things. So we try to give them skills that they can take with them and use in their everyday environment just to help get them through life. So that's what equine assisted learning is. And then when they graduate from that and they go to horsemanship, then they're learning a lot more about the horse. Still a lot about themselves, but that is a mounted program. So they get to ride a little bit when they move to horsemanship. And that's, we want them to keep coming. Like I would love to have a kid that starts when they're, 8 and stays all the way till they're 18 and having that horsemanship where they come back and they can ride and maybe even become volunteers themselves one day is really important.
Well, I'm Dick Foster. Actually, everybody here at the race calls me Bub. So, my role is here, I'm basically the grounds. I manage all the grounds. Well, philanthropy is, to me, is being able to take the resources that you have and share it with other folks. In my case, it was monetary. As I said before, I was the general manager at Haynes International for a lot of years. I've retired there after 40 years, but I also knew that with my background in construction and everything else, being on the board as well with Susie, my sister, it was going to take somebody that had some background to be able to come and kind of ramrod things and put things into place. And so I had a superintendent tell me, he said, well, Dick, what are you so worried about? What's got you so fidgety? After I announced my retirement. And I said, well, it's a big step and it's a lot of money involved and so on and so forth. And he said, you haven't figured it out, have you? And I said, what's that? He said, you've been called to go do this. I thought, well, okay, I'm done whining. So here I am. So it's a thing. It's about give back to me. Philanthropy is about giving back. I've been blessed in my life. There's no doubt in my mind. People have been put in place that I've been able to learn from. Of all those things that I've been given, it was time to give back.
Philanthropy means all of this, right? Yeah. I mean, when you start out trying to build a young nonprofit, you literally have no money. How are we going to start? How are we going to do anything without people that are willing to help us get started financially? Horses are incredibly expensive. And so the philanthropists who have come on board with Narrow Gate, they just mean everything to me, because without them giving us a start, there's no way we could be here and we'd be able to impact the lives that we can with these horses for the kids.
Well, I think philanthropy for me is seeing a need, an unmet need, having the resources to meet that need and doing it.